Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Bama Factor here with Alex Taylor. Thank you for tuning in. As always, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and drop me a comment as well of your thoughts of the video or of the page or anything that you want to see going forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, Alabama has its QB1 for the 2026 football season. Keelon Russell has been named the starting quarterback for your Alabama Crimson Tide for the 2026 season, beating out fifth-year junior Austin Mack in the spring, summer, and the early parts of fall camp. The announcement was made Saturday, 2 days after the second scrimmage, and everyone, I kind of really saw this coming. I've been kind of predicting it since the spring, been predicting this since the summer as well. And, as it just continued to carry on, it seems like all the signs really pointed to Keelan. I feel like Kalen DeBoer did a very good job of hiding his hand and really not giving. Kind of a tip towards one or the other. And I love the interview that Kalen DeBoer ended up having earlier today with Yay Alabama, and he said the decision was not based on one guy is bad at a certain thing or one guy's better at another thing than someone else, but it's who gives us the best opportunity to win and be successful at that. And that's not taking anything away from Austin Mack at all, but with Keelan Russell, I think you have an absolute an absolute baller, a generational talent when it comes to throwing the ball, especially what he can do with his feet as well. Kind of presents that escapability factor that Bryce Young brought to the table in his sophomore season. And really, we haven't seen a quarterback of this caliber since Bryce Young. And that's who I really compare Keelan Russell to. Only time will tell if he'll be better than Bryce was. Bryce got 2 full years as a starter at Alabama and obviously went first overall in the NFL draft after his junior year. Could potentially see Keelan Russell following the same path as well. But, with Keelan Russell, coming in a year ago, sitting behind Ty Simpson and Austin Mack both, I think that gave him a sense of, you've got to earn your time here at Alabama. He knew that coming in. Flipped from SMU later in the cycle when he was being recruited, and you just see the intangibles that this kid has. I mean, you see the coachability that this kid has. I mean, again, stayed through the competition last year, knowing that even as a highly touted five-star freshman, you weren't just going to come in and unseat a guy who, had been there for 4 years, who had been under Coach Saban, stayed through the transition of Coach DeBoer, and you know was a good football player in a guy like Ty Simpson. And I feel last year that he was able to learn a lot from Ty. Saw how Ty really handled adversity, and from a team captain standpoint, Ty took a lot of the responsibility of that Florida State loss to begin the season. But you also got to see times last year, Keelan Russell flash his potential. And I think that was huge because, I mean, you look at the game against ULM, you look at the game against Eastern Illinois, really kind of the only two games where we really saw him play. But still, we saw the flashes, we saw the ability to create, we saw the escapability, just the movement outside of the pocket. And I've alluded to this several times in the offseason, but what really gets me excited about Keelan Russell is just the quickness of his release. And it reminds me a lot of Tua. Tua had the ability to run the RPO game, especially when Steve Sarkisian was our OC. And that 2018 football season, when we were averaging over 50 points a game and, scoring in 3 plays, it seems like on offense, just about every time we touch the ball, Tua had that ability to run that RPO offense, to run that quick up-tempo style offense. And I think that's what Keelan Russell really brings to this style of offense. If you go back to Washington and you really look at Kalen DeBoer and you look at Ryan Grubb and you look at the system and you look at the style of offense they like to run, it's these quick hitters, it's these quick slants, it's a lot of flood concepts and mesh concepts. But you look at how they spread the defense out. It's a lot of spreading the defense out. It's really seeing if they've got their safety squatted. It's seeing if they're playing double high. It's seeing potentially if you can create matchups that are going to be a problem. Because when you have guys like Sadarian Morgan coming in and Derek Meadows with the height that they have, and then you have skill guys like Buddy Brooks, like Rico Scott, like Ryan Coleman Williams, you're going to be able to get guys in horrible positions if you are a defense with this kind of offense. And it stems from the quarterback play. And I say all this to say, I feel like in year 3 of Kalen DeBoer and this era of his coaching staff, his scheme, his system, the first 2 seasons he inherited quarterbacks that were recruited by Nick Saban. Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson both recruited under Coach Saban, fit Coach Saban's style of offense that he liked to run. And we saw Jalen Milroe in it for a year in 2023 under Coach Saban, and in Kalen DeBoer's system in 2024. Again, I feel the first year that Kalen DeBoer came in, you couldn't bench Jalen Milroe. You already had total portal exodus. You couldn't sit him down, or you were going to lose the team to start out. The next year, I feel like Ty Simpson, being the veteran presence, having some of the experience, kind of was able to be a little bit better fit for what Kalen DeBoer was looking for. But with no disrespect to Ty, still not the ideal fit. Now you look at a quarterback room that has Keelon Russell, Austin Mack, Jet Thamala, and Tate and Kawhi, all guys who have been recruited by Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb. So this fits their system, and I think this is the first season that Kalen DeBoer has his guy, the guy that he wants, the guy that fits his system, that's able to run his offense, and really has been given the keys to the kingdom. But I think with Keelon Russell, I think the floor for Alabama goes up. I think the ceiling goes up. However, I'm going to say that this season is not going to be fully on his back. It's going to depend on the offensive line. It's going to depend on the run game. It's got to be complemented well. But I think Keelon Russell brings a factor to this offense that we haven't seen the last 2 years. Jalen Milroe was more gifted with his feet. Ty was more gifted with his passing. But overall, Jalen's arm got him in trouble in a couple games. Ty's injury status and just kind of his declining play kind of down the stretch last season, really due to injuries, is really kind of what caused the offense to go stagnant. And really the last 2 years, subpar offensive line play, really a lack of a run game, especially last year, not really so much in 2024, but this year with a revamped offensive line, hopefully a better run game. And now you've got a quarterback who presents a true dual threat ability to really get after it. And, honestly, I think Keelon Russell is a great choice for this offense. And I'm going to say this about Austin Mack. No disrespect to him at all. I have the utmost respect for Austin Mack. He stayed through the transition, transferred in, has really sat the last 3 years now behind guys, waiting for his opportunity, and he stayed and competed this year. He's going to be a guy, which I fully expect him more than likely to enter the portal next year, to go somewhere and start for a year. And he will be very sought after. He will be very sought after. But I issue this as a caution to all Alabama fans watching and tuning in. We need to pull for Austin Mack. We need to wish for his success while he's still at Alabama, because right now he is one injury to Keelon Russell, one bad snap, one bad game, one bad series from being the guy, from being QB1. And honestly, I can think of no better guy to have as a backup at Alabama. This kind of reminds me of the Jalen Tua saga a few years ago. I was sitting in Bryant-Denny Stadium, game 2 of the 2018 season. Tua had won the job, and we're up 49-0 at halftime on Arkansas State. Tua was already having a great day. We had beat Louisville the first game, 50 5 to 14. And all of a sudden, a guy right behind me says that Jalen just needs to play his last 2 games. There's your 4 games. You need to redshirt the rest of the year. We don't need you. Have a good life. I turned around to the guy and basically said, you better hope and pray that Jalen actually stays and doesn't redshirt because we may need him at some point this season. Long story short, we see at the end of the season that Tua gets hurt in the SEC title game. Jalen comes in, and the rest is history from there. So again, we need to pull for Austin Mack. You need to be sure, as a fan, as a watcher, as a follower of the Crimson Tide, that you pull for Austin Mack, that you wish for his success as well, because we have a pretty doggone good backup quarterback. And again, either of these guys are capable of being quarterback one. And again, each of these guys, they complement each other very well. But again, I think Keelon gives you that extra piece to this offense with his legs specifically, with his escapability, with his ability to navigate the pocket probably a little bit better, create outside of the pocket. And, tight end Marshall Pritchett even described him as lightning in a bottle. So this is a guy who can really take this offense to the next level, and I'm fully expecting him to. Now, my expectations, I'm not going to set them low, but I am going to teeter them to reality. Now, Bryce Young, I did the same thing. Very highly touted player, sat behind Mac Jones his first year, saw glimpses. Obviously, he comes out the next season, he wins the Heisman. So, am I saying that Keelon Russell is going to come out and win the Heisman this year? No, I'm not saying that yet. Could he very well go out and do it? Yes, he has the capability. He's very talented. I watched him in high school. He, I believe, has a generational talent in his arm, in his release, in his ability to read a defense, in his ability to navigate and operate an offense. And he's not just going to be listed as a game manager. I think he is going to be a guy who, when called upon, can take over a game. If he needs to go down and he needs to start taking over, he can flip that switch. He can basically flip it into overdrive and say, all right, guys, we're going to go down and score every time that we get the ball. And I'm very excited to see what he's going to do against East Carolina. It's going to be a very senior-laden team in East Carolina. So that first test, really, starting-wise, isn't going to be an easy one. I mean, he's going to be going up against a lot of senior-laden guys, and it's his first career start. But, Bryce Young was the same way, only threw for a little over 200 yards in 2020. Comes in the first game of the season against Miami. Has a great game. So, you really have to kind of look at the comparisons between Keelon Russell and Bryce Young because, again, like I said, that's who I like to compare him to. But, again, this is a brand new era for Alabama. Keelon Russell, if all stays put and all stays well, I obviously see being the starter for the next 2 seasons. But again, I say on the side of caution, you need to still pull for Austin Mack and you need to still wish upon the success of Austin Mack. But it's a new era. It's a new day. Keelon Russell gets the start for Alabama against East Carolina. And, you look at the schedule, instantly week 2, first road test. Got to go on the road in the SEC, Will Stein in Kentucky. And Will Stein likes to place guys on the field to play to their strengths. And Will Stein's a good coach. He was a great OC as well. But he knows the SEC, played in the SEC. So that's going to be a hostile environment week 2. And, Kentucky's going to pretty much have a warm-up scrimmage game against Youngstown State, and they're going to be ready. They've always got a big blue wall. And, they always do have a very gritty defense, a very physical defense as well. So this is going to be a test for Alabama instantly. And then you've got Florida State. And then not to mention you have to go on the road to Mississippi State. You're going to have to go on the road to Tennessee and LSU. You're going to have to go on the road to Vanderbilt. You've got to play Georgia. You've got to play Texas A&M. So you're going to see good competition this year. And this is going to be trial by fire. You're going to be thrown to it just like Bryce Young was, just like Mac Jones was. So you're going to have multiple opportunities to prove yourself. But Keelon Russell goes out here. I think he's going to shock a lot of people. I think some people are still underrating him. And, you know, I think a lot of people are going to be a believer in him very soon. But we've heard a lot of people talk about him. I've talked about him. We're going to continue to talk about him here on the Bama Factor. But overall, I do think this was a difficult decision for Coach DeBoer because Austin Mack, he's been with him since the Washington days. He's been with Coach Grubb since then. He skipped his senior year of high school. He reclassified to enroll early. Um, but overall, I think Coach DeBoer made the decision to give the guy the keys to the offense who was going to give you the best opportunity to win. And I do think that that's Keelon Russell. Again, no disrespect to Austin Mack. I think he would have given us a good opportunity to win, but I think our floor is higher. I think our ceiling is higher with 12 under center. So overall, we're going to see how it plays out this season. We're going to be doing a lot more in-depth preview of Keelan, his strengths, some of the things I think he needs to work on, some of the things I would like to see for the season as well. But guys, thanks for tuning in wherever you're watching from. If it's a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, hope you all have a great week, a great day. Be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to follow me on all social media as well. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and be sure to follow the Patreon for all breaking news and insights into Alabama football like you've never seen before. It's free. So follow me on Patreon as well. Look up the Bama Factor with Alex Taylor on Patreon as well to catch all the latest articles as well. And as always, guys, hope you guys have a great and blessed week. And as always, God bless and roll tide.